Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Private Flyer Live. Hope you're keeping well and obviously keeping safe in this lockdown phase that we're in. Hopefully, we will have an opportunity to have the restrictions loosened in the next week or so. Obviously, fingers crossed, we'll see what announcements are made. My name is Alex Ayling. Our company organises the Private Flyer Show. For those of you not too familiar with it, we do 3 events a year in the UK, America, and in Ireland. Our Irish show is postponed until next year, but hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be able to carry out the event in America at Essex County Airport, New Jersey, and also at Wickham Air Park on the 2nd and 3rd of October. Those dates have been rearranged from our previous May dates. For any info that you want to find out, please go to privateflyershow.com for more info. A very quick thank you to those of you from the last session that sent a direct message, a DM to us, and also emails on topics you'd like us to try and cover with our bite-sized Private Flyer Live sessions. So please do continue to give those. Just DM us or email me directly. Again, my email address is on our privateflyershow.com website. Basically, yeah, like everyone says, if you like what you hear with these topics, please do us a favor, hit that follow button. It brings a massive smile to our faces and also makes it even more worthwhile. Right, so moving on. Last week we had our first Private Flyer Live session with Philippe Pullman covering aircraft sales or buying or selling aircraft in a turbulent market. I'm pleased to say today we are joined by Dean Chamberlain from Nicholson McLaren Aviation, covering the topic of engine preservation during lockdown. Dean, a very warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Alex. Thanks for inviting us to do this. Very much appreciated. As Alex says, I'm Dean Chamberlain from Nicholson McLaren Aviation. We're an EASA Part 145 approved engine overhaul facility in the UK. We're here really to try and give everyone a bit of advice to see what we can do during the lockdown situation to keep your engine as safe as possible.
And like everybody, Dean, with gorgeous weather out there today, and obviously with even better weather tomorrow, there's only one place, all private pilots would like to be right now, and that's obviously up in the air. So yeah, hopefully we can all get back to it at some stage. But, going straight into it, Dean, at the moment, aircraft are grounded, people can't go flying. What are the issues with leaving an engine unused for periods of time?
Really, the main issues you get with the Lycoming and the Continental piston engines is they suffer corrosion. When they're sat around for a long time, they get acid, condensation builds up in the engine, and that affects primarily the cylinders, but especially on the Lycoming, it's the cylinders and the camshaft, because the camshafts at the top of the engine, they're both very prone to the corrosion that's caused by the acid and the condensation in the engine.
So what would you then recommend, Dean, on options to keep your engine healthy then for those pilots out there?
Really, you've got 3 simple options. The first one, the CAA, just over a week ago, allowed people to do a health check on their engines. This consists of doing a 30-minute flight check. Within that, you've got to stay within the circuit. So it's not really a jolly, which everyone would like at this time, but it's a chance, 1, to go flying, and 2, to look after your engine and make sure it's okay. Obviously, you've got to make sure that's okay with your airfield. I know some airfields are open up just for a certain day, so you can do it within the circuit. I've heard of some airfields that are allowing not to do circuits, but at least you can do ground runs and runs up and down the runway, so you can get full power runs up and down the runway if possible. Obviously, you've got to check on your airfield with that. Second option, really, is to go out to your airfield and give the engine a good ground run every 4 weeks. Same as the first one, every 4 weeks you want to be out there at least. Third option, a bit more complicated, is to inhibit your engine. If we're going to go for lockdown for a long period, which no one really wants, obviously we want to be out there, as you say, with the weather, flying, and that's to inhibit the engine, but that's quite a time-intense and labour-intense option to go for.
So, Dean, if pilots want to go for a ground run option 2, what would be the best procedures for this?
What they need to do is, obviously, the ground one is to get the engine or the aircraft into a safe location or designated location on the airfield. Obviously, you need to tie the aircraft down so it's ready, just as they would do for most sort of ground runs to make sure it's safe. Then they need to sort of run the engine, get it run up to operating temperature in accordance with the pilot's operating handbook. Once they've got up, you really want to see an oil temperature of 165 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Once it's there, you want to sort of keep the engine running at 1800 RPM for sort of at least 20 to 30 minutes. I mean, Lycoming recommend an hour, but personally, I think sort of between the 20 and 30 minutes would sort of suffice. If you're struggling to get the aircraft up to temperature, the oil up to temperature, which hopefully we won't be at the moment because the weather's good, you could try and get some winterization plates or some way of blocking off the oil cooler. But just keep an eye on all the other temperatures if you're going to go down that route. You do get the engine up to full temperature, up to the full 165 to 200. If you're going to not run it too hard or can't run it too hard, have it idling too long, all you're going to do is glaze the cylinders. You're going to create oil that's then not going to burn off that acid and off that condensation because it's not going to get up to temperature. It really has got to get up to temperature to burn that oil and contaminants out of the oil to keep the engine sort of nice and safe. Again, like I said earlier, that should be done every 30 days, really, if possible. If you can get away with more, then that's good, but at least every 30 days to get that condensation out of the engine.
So Dean, if we decide to inhibit option 3, what do we need to do this?
Option 3 is a little bit more complicated. Needs someone a bit skilled. I would recommend a licensed engineer or at least someone who's very competent in what they're doing. Ideally, to sort of inhibit the engine, what you need to do is to get the engine up to temperature. Once it's up to temperature, then you can drain that oil out. Then you need to replace that oil with a preservative mixture. There's a few preservative oils, but I'd prefer to use Aeroshell Fluid 2F. Right. And what you need to do is you need to mix 1 part of that with 3 parts of either Aeroshell 80 or 100, whichever one you prefer to use, or what's in your pilot operator's handbook for that engine. Reinstall it into the engine, run the engine, and make sure you get that engine up to temperature again, 165 to 200 degrees. Once you've done that, shut the engine, obviously, let it cool down a little bit, remove the cowlings, remove your top spark plugs, and then through them top spark plugs, you want to sort of spray around 2 ounces of that mixture that you've got, the 3 parts oil to 1 part preservative oil, into your cylinders. It could be done with a dryless trapped air compressor, but most people haven't got that. So a good sort of garden sprayer hosed in there and sprayed around the cylinders. Important thing is once you've sprayed the cylinders is not to rotate the engine again because those piston rings are just going to scrape that off the piston barrel. Once you've done that, you can reinstall the spark plugs. To really, if you want to be belts and braces, you can install what we call dehydrator plugs. If you can get them, the part number is MS27215-2. They then will draw out any other condensation that's in the cylinder. So a little bit of a better option, but if they're not available, just put your spark plugs back in the engine and then leave your engine. Like I say, the important part is not to turn it over once you've done that. The engine should be okay then for sort of up to about 90 days to leave it at that point. So not what we all want to hear, but probably the better way if we're looking for a long lockdown.
And Dean, basically walk us through it. If we are returning the engine back to service, if we inhibit the engine, walk us through those steps. Yeah,
I mean, to return the engine back to service after we've been hopefully released out of lockdown, remove the spark plugs or the dehydrator plugs if you put them in. Then you want your magneto switched off. It's all safety now really related. Magneto's off. Spark plug leads, I'd remove all of them. If you've got 4-cylinder, remove all 8 plugs, 6-cylinder, remove all 12 plugs. Then you want to sort of stand out of you want the mixture on idle cutoff. So again, you've got no fuel going in. I wouldn't prime the engine or anything like that. And then rotate the engine, use the propeller, but keep out of the arc of the propeller because even though nothing's on, once it goes around for compression, that propeller can swing around. So you just want to keep out the arc. You need to rotate the engine 2 or 3 times. What this is just removing that inhibiting oil mixture that we've done from the cylinder bores. Once we're happy with that, return the spark plugs back in, plug leads back on, start the engine as you would normally. Get the engine up to temperature. Once you've got it up to temperature, cut the engine out, drain that mixture oil out of the engine. At that point, it'd be a good time, if you have, is to bore scope the cylinders. Have a look round, make sure there's no corrosion inside the cylinders. With some engines, you can get in through the oil dipstick, and you can get a borescope in there and have a look at the camshaft in particular, make sure there's no corrosion there. If you can't see any corrosion, then brilliant. Get your spark plugs back in, fresh oil in there, fresh oil filter. Use the oil that's obviously recommended in your pilot owner's handbook, and then start the engine up. Do your operational checks, do your flight checks, make sure everything's okay. Then fingers crossed, you're good to go and enjoy the sun and fly again.
Yeah, and hopefully we will go back to that sooner rather than later. And Dean, how are things with Nicholson McLaren at the moment? I'm guessing, you know, no one's been back at the offices for quite some time, but you know, are all the staff there still trying to keep busy in some
Yeah, I
shifts?
mean, we haven't had the workshops open. We felt it was safer to look after the staff. We've been making ways of working with keeping the 2 metre thing getting back. You know, we do a lot of intense parts where guys are closing the case, dual inspects. You know, safety is it's hard to do that without being within that sort of personal space of 2 metres. So just working systems out for that. We're looking at potentially going back next week. People are going to be wearing masks, gloves, all the tools, because we have a lot of shared calibration tooling that, you know, is sent off once a year to be calibrated, and you can't have many of those. So again, that's going to have sort of cleaning bays next to it, so as soon as someone's used it, it can be cleaned, ready for the next person. I've been out of the office. We're still getting plenty of inquiries. We've got lots of work to go back to. Like I said, we really just wanted to be safe, do the right thing, look after our staff, and get ourselves back to it.
Brilliant. And Dean, you know, if anyone that's watching right now, and anyone that you know, watches this in the next 24 hours, or indeed on our website, you know, if they had some questions to ask you directly, you know, they could do so by going to your website. I think from what I checked,
Yeah,
your email address is at the top of the website.
Exactly. My email address is at the top of the website. If not, easy, aviation.sales@n-mclaren.co.uk. I'll be picking those up anytime as of Monday, because obviously bank holiday tomorrow, so VE day.
Of course.
But yeah, as soon as that's over, yeah, I'll pick them up. Any questions, if anyone's not sure, they want some more information, something a bit more in-depth email to them, then please email me and I'm more than happy to help.
And guys, Nicholson McLaren will also be at Private Flyer Show, hopefully if we're able to organise that event on the 2nd and 3rd of October. Again, just to reiterate, any other topics you'd like us to cover, please do so by sending us a DM or an email to myself, Alex. That's all on privateflyershow.com. And if you like what you hear, please do hit that follow button. It really is greatly appreciated. Dean, thank you so much for giving us your time today. You know, I think we've hit that 15-minute bite size.
Just about.
Yeah, exactly. Just about there. This is perfect. So, yeah, without any more delay, I know you want to enjoy and have a glass of beer or have a beer in this beautiful sun. So yeah. I'll let you go, but thank you so much for joining us today. It's much appreciated.
Brilliant, Alex. Yep, no, thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you at Private Flyer. Fingers crossed that's going to go ahead in October. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Cheers, Dean. Thank you.
Cheers, Alex. Thanks a lot. Cheers, Bye. Bye.